So last time we talked about the receivers, right? We talked about three main types of receivers, about the pins and about the wires, about the meaning of the wires and how to find information and know which wire goes where. So we talked about DSM, PPM and S-bus types receivers. So this is DSM as example, this is PPM, and S-bus, actually this one is switchable from PPM to S-bus. So now we know where to find the information about each pin. We know what each pin means, we know the size, we know the colors of the wires, and we know which color wire goes where. So now it is time to talk about the flight controller, because now we know how to hook up all the wires, and now we should understand where to hook the wires, the receiver's wires, to the flight controller. Obviously there are many types of the flight controllers, and the main way, easiest way to understand the flight controller is to get the scheme of the flight controller, and this scheme of the flight controller is available nearly for each flight controller, I believe. So you can find it on online, some maybe groups. You can ask the vendor eventually. You can check the website as well, the company's website. You'll find some the schemes, and you probably have seen this scheme before. This is the flight controller, which is here on my broken hexacopter. But this is the Chinese clone, and it is F3 Evo brushed flight controller. So this one is available online as well, and whenever I go to any vendor selling this flight controls, I can find the scheme over there. So definitely you can find the scheme, for example, for NASA 32 brushed. This is the older version. Not many vendors do sell now, but still available. You can find a brushless flight control there too, and find some schemes. Soldering schemes will show you where to solder what. The main reason now is to understand what it says here. So it is pretty easy and pretty basic. As I said, you can always make some research online, like maybe use Google, Yahoo, Ask.com, and get more information. For example, because today we're talking just about the receivers, right? So this one as an example. So now we have few things here which are very obvious. The first obvious thing is DSM, and we have here DSM. So now we know that if we having DSM type receivers, we definitely know that it should be soldered here. And again, we already know what does it mean, GND. GND stands for the ground, right? So the middle one here goes, the black wire goes here, the ground. Then we have 3.3 volts, because we know that DSM type receivers operate on 3.3, I think, to 3.6 volts. So this is where the red wire goes, right? And then the last left is white wire, which is the signal wire. And if we were have a look at the flight controller, which is actually here one, I have here one, it's already soldered here. Then for DSM type receiver, the wires are soldered here, and it's exactly same as on this in the scheme. Red wire is plus, so it's a positive, so 3.3 volts, yes. Ground is black, and we know that ground is minus, and the last left for the signal wire. Now we can have a look here that it says UART3, UART2, and UART1. And normally we can find more information behind the schemes for example, few sentences can be attached there to the scheme saying that, for example, UART2 here is ASBUS and PPM. How do I know that? Because this information is available online from the vendor from which I got this flight controller. There is a scheme and sort of short manual to the flight controller. So I got this information from the manual saying that if someone wants to use PPM or ASBUS receivers, has to use UART2. So great, now it's very easy. I know that UART2 is made for ASBUS and PPM receivers. So it's here. So if we have a look at the flight control again, UART2 is here, right? These 4 pins. So now we have to understand which pin means what. Again, it's pretty easy here because we have obviously 2 things we can read just using common sense. Ground, so the bottom is ground, above the bottom one is 5 volts. So we know the ground is black, it's negative, and plus 5 volts is plus, and it's positive. So black wire goes here, and second above goes white wire, signal wire. The signal wire, normally the signal wire is marked as RX. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See, RX normally means signal wire. That's pretty easy, pretty basic. And either if you are, the most important thing, not to mix 5 volts with ground. So red wire, this is red, 5 volts is red, this one is minus, and it means black wire. These wires are most important not to mix them because you may fry the receiver or the flight controller, either two. But either if you make a mistake and you solder the signal wire to TX here, I don't think something happens. Eventually, when you get to the beta flight, you will not be able, it will not be able to see that there is a receiver attached. So then you will start troubleshooting, and eventually you'll get to this point where you'll say, I'm not sure if this is right, and resolder. So that's it.